independence was made on hemp paper. Thomas Jefferson at hemp fields. Let me tell you all the things organically grown hemp yields. Jack Herring tried to tell us the news. We can even use the seeds to improve our food. Build homes in the future.
For the fuel crisis at hand in this country, it's right in the palm of your hand. There are some powerful things happening in this country, and there are some incredible opportunities that we have for positive change, and one of them is creating a difference in terms of what we use for fuel. We have an opportunity now to use hemp as a fuel source instead of petroleum, and we have an opportunity to be able to use it in such a way that we create no CO2 emissions in this country anymore. And it's only going to take 6% of our agriculture to solve 100% of our energy needs. We have to talk about the elephant in the room, because most people think that hemp is marijuana, and that is a case of mistaken identity that hemp has suffered. We have this amazing commodity in this country that could put hundreds of thousands of people to work. Our farmers that aren't growing tobacco anymore. We could really reinvigorate this economy if we made hemp legal. We want this commodity. We want lower gas prices, for one. We talked about it earlier. 6% of America's agriculture could be used to grow hemp, and it would solve 100% of our energy needs. 100%. Not 16% or less than 5%. 100%. You're putting gas in your car right now. If hemp can affect you on the level of putting fuel in your car, then know this. Hemp has no CO2 emissions whatsoever. And that is first and foremost. And the second thing is it's completely sustainable. It's grown above ground. You chop it down, you whack it down, you process it, you make it into fuel, and it grows again. In 10 weeks, you've got another crop. So it's highly sustainable. It's very, very inexpensive to grow because it grows without pesticides. I mean, it's an ancient, mighty wonder crop. I mean, you cannot say enough positive things about this crop. Anything you can make out of plastic can be made out of hemp. You can eat it. It's the highest plant source of available protein on the face of the earth. It's got all the omegas that fish has. And most importantly is it can be used for fuel. So the $7.5 trillion that has exited our economy over the last 7 years, that's gone to make cars out of silver in Saudi Arabia, could be spent in this country. Our economy would be so robust. It's not trendy to be conscious. It's a necessity to be conscious, because if we're not conscious of the choices that we're making, then the choices will be taken away, and we won't have any choices anymore. So I don't like to be very doom and gloom, because we have the answers, we have the solutions, and they're right here. And it's really important that we celebrate this, and we look at this as an opportunity rather than a crisis, because it's an opportunity really for us to conserve energy, create new forms of sustainable energy, and it's a really exciting time to be alive. I just want to say thank you for being here to champion this cause through, because it's time, and the world is ready, and the world is waiting.
Normal drinking alcohol, also known as ethanol, is the cleanest of all liquid fuels. George Tyson is developing techniques to produce ethanol from fast-growing, high cellulose plants like hemp.
We jokingly say this is the fuel that if you were burning it in your car, the reason a dog would chase your car was because he liked the smell of the exhaust pipe. As you can see, there is no smoke emitting from this in this room. Try this with a tablespoon or two of gasoline, and you will have the comparative test. Also, when your engine is through burning on gasoline, take it apart and see how much dirty carbon you find in the engine. We found that running a car 3,500 miles, we couldn't even get a white glove dirty when we took our finger inside of the exhaust pipe.
All plants are storehouses of solar energy, and all plants can be fermented to produce ethanol fuel. Plants also produce the oxygen needed to combust the fuel in a car. The emissions, carbon dioxide and water, are reabsorbed by plants. It is a clean and balanced cycle.
When one reviews all of the possible alternative fuels that we may use for transport use, ethanol emerges as about the only one that can achieve significant reductions in carbon dioxide accumulation in the atmosphere.
Jack Herring tried to tell us the news. We can even use the seeds to improve our food. Build homes in the future made straight from hemp. No
Here we are at Hemp Co head office with Ken Holmes and Jared Clark, and we are going to discuss hemp fuel. Jared has got an amazing story for us. And first, we're just going to be a little background. Ken is the innovator of this hemp fuel, which is an unusually unique and efficient biodiesel lubricity additive. Ken, please give us a little bit of background on it.
Okay, about 4 years ago, I got together with Rex Newkirk from the University of Manitoba, and he went through a seminar with me for 3 days, a real hardcore one, and I learned how to make biodiesel. Biodiesel to me is a way to combat the low sulfur and ultra low sulfur, which is the lubricity in diesel fuel, and try to replace that, and that's what I was doing. That was my objective. And I didn't realize how good a product we actually had until I sent our product to the SRC lab in Regina to have it analyzed. And Susan Fletcher, the lab technician there that worked on our product, was very overwhelmed at how clean and how positive that product was. And we have all that documented, which is very cool. So we do make our biodiesel from hemp oil. It's filtered first in our plant, and then I take it right through the steps and take the fats out of it, and I provide it to people like Jared, who has had very positive results in his truck.
Jared, how did you come upon our product?
I was just doing my normal daily picks and deliveries with my highway truck, and I came across your guys' plant manager, I guess you'd be, in Mike in McGregor, Manitoba.
Yeah.
And I just happened to see a case of hemp fuel sitting on the.
Pretty cool.
And of course, I'm a curious guy, and I go, "What's that?" I go, "It's a fuel conditioner." Cool. And I go, "What would it cost to get a case of that?" He goes, "Why don't you try it and let me know how it works for you?" Okay. So I tried it. I did a big dose for the first start. I drove from McGregor, Manitoba to Portage La Prairie, and so that's maybe 80 kilometers. And I noticed a difference in the first 80 kilometers just in how smooth my truck started running.
Really?
My truck has 1.4 million kilometers on it at that time. And to notice that kind of difference that fast, well, I had to go, I don't believe in fuel conditioning at all. I've never noticed a difference to make me warrant spending money to buy it for my truck.
Exactly.
I'm big on maintenance, I'm big on everything, but to have those kind of results that fast, I thought, might be something to this stuff. So I called a friend of mine up, and he's kind of a skeptic when it comes to conditioners and, things. And he goes, "Well, if you believe in it," he goes, "I'm not going to say I believe in it yet, but I'll try some." Perfect. So I said, okay. So I came down here to your guys' store, warehouse, whatever this is.
Yeah.
And I got talking to your daughter, and I told her how impressed I was with this stuff.
What are some of the things that you noticed, Jared?
Well, smoother running, better starts, power, not so much increasing in power, but the ability for the truck to hold a gear without me having to put my foot farther into to accelerate.
Yeah.
Really?
I noticed my exhaust temperature was down, which surprised me. I was not expecting to see my pyro drop.
And that would really add up for engine costs in the future, wouldn't
Well, it does, because if you think about it, when your pyro is going up, you're burning more fuel. That's more heat. It's wear and tear. You have to work your truck harder.
Yeah.
I'm all about getting fuel mileage and whatnot. When I'm pulling a hill and I watch my boost gauge start going past 20 pounds, okay, well, that's telling me I'm starting to burn a lot of fuel. It goes right up to 30, 35. Well, I use 20 as my, okay, we'll cut her off, drop a gear.
Yeah.
Well, I did that, I had 40-some thousand pounds in my trailer. Went to my usual pulling RPM, right around 1450, where I can still give it throttle if I need to pass or let off and keep everything happy.
Yeah.
Let me down, please. My coolant's down in temperature. It was down about 850, 875. It's not a huge drop, but that's a lot for less fuel.
For 1,000 miles, yeah.
Yeah, cool. And but it keeps getting progressively better. And now, my holdback is, back to where
it sounds like it's cleaning it up too, like the exhaust.
If I do a trip from, let's say from the store to our warehouse in Winnipeg, okay, I'll have a black mark about this far down the back of my stacks. Now, I'm very finicky about my truck. So usually I wash the truck once, twice a week.
Yeah.
And sometimes in between trips, if it's nice out and it warrants, spending a couple $100 to have it washed, I thought, you know what? I'm going to hold back. I'm not going to wash this thing. And I ran for 2 weeks straight. Just Winnipeg, all up northern Saskatchewan, all over the place, right up through the Rockies, and then back down here. For 2 weeks, I just kept doing this big recoup. I only have a black trail about this far down my pipes now after 2 weeks. That tells me I'm getting a cleaner burn.
Yeah.
My fuel, like my monthly fuel cost used to be between $12,000 and $14,000. Then I went back, checked all my mileages for the last few months before I started this stuff. I have records, and fuel statements and everything. It works out, this is where it gets kind of gross, and I'm embarrassed to admit my fuel mileage was 3.1 on winter fuel with a flat top truck, no aerodynamics, pulling a dry van trailer.
Yeah.
So it's 4 or 5 feet of a wind block all the time.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that would, because I'm usually getting in the mid 6s when I was pulling decks.
Yeah.
When I started running this stuff, now my fuel bill is between $9,000 and $10,000. To me, that's huge.
It's more than 20%.
That's a very, very good product in my way of thinking.
Perfect.
And I'll stand beside this stuff until I can't get it no more.
Right on.
It's measurable.
He goes, find me some. So I want to use it.
Right on. No problem.
So you can burn it, but you can't smoke it.
Can't have your cake and eat it too.
Well, let's hook you up with another case, Jared. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ken.
Thanks, Jared. Thanks very much.
In 1941, Henry Ford even built a car made almost entirely from hemp. The frame of the car was 12 times lighter than steel and 10 times stronger. Not only that, but the car was powered by hemp seed oil. Do I even have to explain the threat that this technology would pose to giant oil companies?
Amongst the thousands of products made from hemp, one of the most extraordinary is Henry Ford's plastic car. Built in 1941, it contained cellulose fibers derived from hemp, sisal, and wheat straw. The plastic was lighter than steel, yet could withstand 10 times the impact without denting.
When they made ethanol using cannabis, 1 acre of ethanol, or 1 acre would produce 500 gallons of ethanol. Now 1 acre is only about 65 square meters. Not a very big area. But 1 acre of hemp will produce 500 gallons of ethanol. Well, that'll run your car a long ways. But there's new enzyme processes out right now that they tell me that they can get as much as 1,800 gallons of ethanol per acre. Now, 1,800 gallons would heat your house, heat your hot water, run your car, and you'd have a few hundred gallons left over. And don't think for a second that your car can't run on alcohol, because right now, over half the cars in Brazil are running on alcohol made from sugarcane.
Feed the children. Imagine a world. No pollution. Imagine a world. Green solution. Imagine a world. Hemp can heal the world.